know who was moderating, you know? That would have been fucking pleasant. D-Lo! Yeah, I'm blaming yo ass. Damn. Just realized just a bunch of Christians in the tournament now. Fuck. Gonna have to weave through the cobwebs, I guess. Motherfucker, piss. I mean, where the center at, man? Oh my. We need a burden of rejoinder. Oh my god. Dead ass. It's like the second time this bullshit has happened. Where I'm like, okay, well, guess the fucking shit's not happening. Oh, psych! But this isn't good for my mentals. Does everyone know this? If they say I lose, first of all, they're lying. Second of all, it's because of this, bro. I'm getting psyched out. My fucking my faculties were driven towards Subway because I'm looking at it right now. And now they're like, oh, never mind. Okay, well, philosophy. I like Subway and philosophy. Those mental states don't go hand in hand. All right, I'm not ready for this.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. D-Lo.
Let's fucking. He was just here a moment ago.
Here goes everyone. But Forks, what happened, man? I was counting on you. Supposed to, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, he's here.
Let's go. How long is the debate been going? It hasn't started yet. There's issues brought on by D-Lo, as usual.
Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Yep. If everyone
Like,
can hear everyone, and we're both ready, I'll make an announcement and announcements, and we can start.
Cool.
sure, you can go first since you're going the pro.
I think I think affirmative goes first. Is that how it's usually
Yeah,
done?
affirmative goes first. All right.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to another match in the third round of the Nameless Debates tournament. Today, we will be discussing on the topic of, does the evidentiary problem of evil show Christianity to be improbable? Since Arpa is in the affirmative position, he will do his opening statement first. He has 5 minutes. He may begin.
Okay. The Christian God is described throughout the Bible as all powerful, all loving, and all knowing. In philosophy, you usually trade out all for maximal, so I'll probably be interchanging those. The knowing part doesn't really come up that much, so I'm not going to really touch on it for now. It's just to show that God isn't retarded. So, you know, to like the normal argument though, if God loves us and he can do anything, why does he choose for us to suffer? It seems weird that the choice that that any loving person would make to someone that they love would be to harm them if there wasn't a significantly good reason. But the problem is, with God, he chooses the rules from the beginning. He chooses what's good and bad. He's the one that prefers things. And in his preferrings, I don't know if that's a word, but we know that he's all loving. If he were to choose something over us or allow us to suffer for some other means, it is impossible for him to be maximally loving. This is not possible. there's a hidden reason that wants to be pointed to, or one of the a theodicy. That's to say, God either like if it can be higher order goods or free will, God chooses those things over our well-being. If this is the case, then it sounds like God isn't maximally loving, because if he was maximally loving, this desire should not overcome his love, right? Um, so to me, the world we have is an insanely ludicrous conclusion of an all-loving, all-powerful God. It should also be noted that okay, I really butchered my whole opening statement. But yeah, I know that there's going to be a lot more bogging down into these theodicies, but I just want to note I could probably accept every single solitary motherfucking one, unless they're worded really weirdly. If the existence of unjust suffering, however, that isn't justified by free will, by higher order goods or virtues or soul building or anything else, then that is what should be talked about. Why is it that for absolutely no motherfucking good reason, or any reason for that matter, are we suffering when we have the daddies of daddies, the father of all fathers, the holy, the ghost, the spirit, this motherfucker looking down on us who can do anything and just allows it to happen? If my mom was up there, I'd be living lavish right now. She wouldn't come in my room and shoot me with a gun, torture me, and drop bombs on me like it's fucking Iraq, or throw me in a gas chamber in the Holocaust. I don't think my mom would do that. So I'm very interested to see why an all-loving, all-powerful, all-knowing God would. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. So today we'll be talking about the evidentiary problem of evil and why it shows Christianity to be improbable. I'll just give my short opening statement. That'll, I guess, provide not only a evidential reason as to why God would allow this, but actually also emotional reasons, I think, as well, that would satisfy people for why God allows these things. But I'll just get into my opening statement first. So, good evening, everyone. Today, we delve into one of the most profound and challenging questions of human existence, the problem of evil. This question has troubled philosophers, theologians, and thinkers for centuries. It confronts us with a paradox. If an all-powerful, all-knowing, and omnibenevolent God, as Arpa said, exists, why would he allow evil and suffering to run rampant throughout the world? To address this question, we must first understand what we mean by evil. Evil, in many contexts, is seen as a moral wrong that causes harm or suffering. From the tragic losses and natural disasters to the cruelty inflicted by our peers/individuals, evil appears as a stark contradiction to the idea of a benevolent deity, so it seems. However, this problem is not insurmountable. There are several reasons, perspectives, and ideologies as to why this issue can coexist with the nature of our all-loving God. That's my opening statement. That's my
All
opening
right.
statement.
Nice opening statements, everyone. We will now move on to the first half of open discussion, where each of them will address the other's arguments directly. You have 25 minutes in the first half. You may begin.
Okay. Can I just start off with a couple questions to get the ball rolling?
Sure. Yeah, go
Are
ahead.
you Christian?
Yeah.
Do you think there is any unjust suffering that isn't justified?
No, I think all suffering is justified by a means, one way or another.
Everything okay, guys? Or
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know what happened.
I'm so fucking sorry. I don't know what the fuck. I literally left Discord for 2 seconds. Whole fucking phone went off. Okay. So wait. What was
Yeah,
the
did you
last
hear
thing?
my answer? I said
I
I think every case of suffering is justified by one means or another.
okay. Do you know of the verse where Paul says that being treated cruelly as a slave is unjust suffering?
Um, but do you know like what that means in context? To unjust.
There's it's not well, I mean the only context that he's referring to is being treated cruelly as like a
Yeah, that's
slave.
that's that's in but that's in reference to being a slave, right? So a slave to slave master relationship, right? So the conditional there is a human to human relationship. Obviously, with in the context of God is what I presume your question to be. Every lens or sort of sense of suffering would be justified, and then, but obviously, like in a human case, you could say like suffering um, isn't necessarily justified. No,
It
like so,
it sounds
like
like
the brave stuff. You go ahead.
yeah, I mean, it just sounds like you're saying in this verse in the Bible, God isn't being factored in, which is weird because it's a Bible about him.
No, but it's not okay. But not every single verse about the Bible is obviously I mean, my bad. Obviously referring to God. You know, so it's obviously when you're asking that question, I presume when you bring up Paul, he's talking about unjust suffering as in a depraved man bringing on suffering to another man, right? That's
Hmm.
different than God allowing suffering to happen, or let's say even some people might believe God actualizing the suffering to take place. That's what we're talking about.
Uh,
We're talking about God. We're not. It's not the same thing.
oh, okay. The fact that suffering is happening, you would agree, is a result of God, right? Because He allows the things as they are.
Uh, it was yeah, as in the sense that he allows it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that suffering that's happening, He's allowing. Would you not say that doesn't make sense with His loving nature? If He can prevent something He doesn't want happening, He should do it.
Um, he could. Okay. Yeah. So sure. So hold on. So just because I can prevent something I don't want happening, there are reasons. Like somebody said, beforehand, but there's reasons. There's many reasons as to why God may allow you suffering to happen. So as of right now, I don't see that to be some sort of counter argument or whatever.
Sure.
It just seems like you're confused.
Yeah, well, okay, well, you're saying there's something that there's a reason that God does allow it. I'm curious what that is.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so there's a myriad of reasons as to why I think God would allow suffering. So for example, I don't know if you're familiar with um, Thomas Aquinas' works. He talks about some ideologies of suffering that can only, uh, my bad, good. Some, my bad, yeah, sorry. Some ideologies of good that can only come about through suffering. We know there could be evils that happen that God thinks should happen for, I guess you would say, the best possible world to occur. Um, in order for free will to exist, truly exist, God would have to allow, I guess you would say, independent beings to function. If these independent beings have the capacity to do evil, then it is very probable that they will do evil as well as good. So that's another thing. There's like multiple reasons as to why God may allow suffering.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's just go on these one by one. So with the free will one, basically you're saying if free will, it kind of like if free will exists, then like evil or sin must exist, which makes suffering.
If wait, say again. Sorry, I can hear you.
So basically, like the argument you just said with free will, because let's just bog down on these, like, so we're able to get into the details and one by one. If free will exists, this is what you're saying, then suffering exists because we have the capacity to do evil.
Uh, so that's what I'm saying. More so, to be very specific, very clear. Um, through the actualization of free will, you will become an independent actor. If you're an independent actor, you have independent choices. Choices obviously can be good, bad, or let's just say for this example, just neutral. Um,
Sure.
if
Do you?
Yeah.
Uh,
So go ahead.
yeah, I get what you're saying. So, do you think there's free will in heaven?
Free will in heaven. Um.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the same type of free will we have down here.
So then, why can't we have that type of free will?
Okay. So the issue is okay. So when after you become, I guess you would say, a perfect being, or as close to perfect as possible through God, God allows you to, or he after you make the choice to conform to God's nature, he basically like cleans you or scrubs you from your evil, wicked nature. Um, that being your flesh, for example, like removing you from your flesh and cleaning your spirit, as one might say, and from that you can be, I guess you would say, good forever or whatever. But beforehand, you have to make the choice to even align with God. So God allows us to have that choice, and if we don't want that choice, then we don't have to have that choice. That's why we don't immediately start off as good beings.
Sure. I guess I wouldn't understand what you're saying is kind of a reward system where if we choose God, then He takes away
That's
our
not a
flesh.
reward system. It's a choice. It's like
No, no, no,
if
no, no.
you
Wait, hold on. I'm
I
not
don't think
talking
you
about that.
understand.
No, no. Well, okay. I'll explain, and then you tell me if I'm wrong. You're
Oh,
saying
go
we
ahead.
have a choice. We can choose God, or we cannot choose
Don't
God.
do
If
that
we choose God, then He takes away our flesh and makes us without sin, essentially.
yeah,
Why can't He just choose to say, I don't care if you choose me or not, I'm going to take your flesh away anyway?
because then
Or,
we wouldn't
even
have a
better,
choice.
yeah, we would.
No, we would not. If I if okay, so if do you know like I'm like so confused by that. Okay, do you know what going against somebody's will is? Like, do you know what that's considered?
Going against somebody's will.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Like if God's gonna go about like imposing His will upon you, right? Um,
uh,
I don't think you'd say that's a very just God, unless
but it depends, right? I mean, He does it.
you
He's
mean it
doing it
depends.
right now. Like I have
How's He doing
limitations
it
right now. Like He put me in a body that isn't limitless. I'm limited. I can't fly. I can't jump around. I can't destroy anything I want. I can't create anything I want. I die in a couple years. I wasn't chosen to. I didn't choose to be born. I didn't choose to be here. I could have been in the Garden of Eden in the very beginning. I have a bunch of limits that is God's fault. He limits me all the time.
But that's not okay. That's two different things that we're talking about. So what we're talking about now is physical limitations, or I guess you'd say ontological uh, impositions that would not allow you to, let's say, do whatever the fuck you want. That's different than a actual, I guess, would say, moral or how do you say, mental imposition where God's gonna force Himself upon you with something specific that you don't want.
Oh, I
That's two
can name
different
some
things,
of
first of
those
all.
too if you want. I can name some. So we have a very
Sure.
strong urge to procreate. We have a very strong urge for survival in the Bible. Like God takes the Pharaoh and hardens his heart so that he says no. He literally is putting his will over the Pharaoh in the Bible. Seems like he has no problem doing that, even if I don't want him to do that.
Sure. So
Seems like he does it anyway. So yeah,
So, so, okay, sure. Do you know the context behind the Pharaoh story, or just quoting things from the Bible, thinking like this is some sort of defeater?
there is context, but it doesn't change that. So
Okay, what is the context? Please explain the context.
you want me to tell you the story or?
Yeah, tell me why God hardened his heart, if you know.
So yeah, so Moses like went to him and he
Hmm.
was asking the Pharaoh for freedom, essentially. I might be like missing a couple of details, but he's asking him for freedom, and God said, or the Pharaoh, or sorry, God before that said he's going to harden the Pharaoh's heart so that it like I forgot the reason he said. It was either so later on he doesn't like change his mind or something like this.
Okay, so I'll
Um,
just inform you on the story to my recollection. So yeah, God basically, the Pharaoh was doing very evil and wicked deeds throughout. Um, Multiple times, God gave Pharaoh revelations in different ways to avoid, let's say, like these things happening to the people around him and all these things. And the Pharaoh chose to go against God, and instead, he kept disobeying God. And the Pharaoh's heart was basically so wicked and evil that God decided it was just best to harden his heart um, at that point because there's no Because once okay, basically there's multiple examples of this I can show you in the Bible. But basically, once you choose so much evil and wicked, there's almost no way for you to it's like there's almost no way for you to change your mind or change your attitude about at that point. So basically, what God did at that point was just embedding Pharaoh's nature onto himself that he already was, I guess you would say, on the path of anyways.
Okay. First of all, I think this is a little bit of like an assumption. I get what you're saying, narrative
Some
wise. The assumption that the reason he did it was because like the Pharaoh was evil. Like he specifically said that I'm gonna make the Pharaoh say no. I'm gonna harden his heart and make him reject your offer. So he's imposing his will upon him.
yeah, tell me that.
Even
Tell
if
me that very specifically.
okay.
I think you're confused.
It's Exodus 9:12. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not listen to Moses. Sounds like what I said.
Yeah, send it. Can you send the verse in the chat, please?
It's Exodus 9:12.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just don't get
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Oh, you want me to call? Okay, hold on.
No, hold on. I'll just get because I'm gonna copy paste the thing before that.
Okay.
Like a minute.
There's also another one I didn't even remember, which is Exodus 14:4, when God says, "I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them." It looks like he's just like fucking Pharaoh in the ass. Oh my god. Um, did you post it somewhere?
No, I'm trying to like copy and paste it. Hold on.
Okay. I mean, I can just read it out. I have it. I mean,
Oh
well,
yeah, sure.
actually, I already
Uh,
read it out.
just interrupting for a second there. For future debates, please try to have your evidence ready when you're trying to bring it up for a specific point.
Okay. Yeah, it just kind of went a little farther off the rails than I thought. So, but okay, Exodus 9:12. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said to Moses.
Yeah, and then can you read the verse right after that?
Yeah, hold on. Read full chapter. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning, confront Pharaoh, and say to him, 'This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says: Let my people go, so that they may worship me. Or this time I will send the full force of my plagues against you and against your officials and your people, so you may know that there's no one like me in all the earth.'" Then there's a little more, but
Yeah, and then
you want me to keep
wait,
going?
wait. Are you sure you read the right verse?
I'm pretty. I just read Exodus 9:13 and 14 after 12.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I read some and again, okay. Yeah. So wait. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, "Say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt." So yeah, basically, the context was that the Pharaoh kept, even though like the Pharaoh kept, I guess we'd say, disobeying slash resisting against God and His nature. So after that, I guess you say the Lord hardened his heart, but even Pharaoh himself, um, like he despised the actions that what's the name, my bad, that Moses and Aaron were about to commit. So even him himself was still doing these bad things, despite the Lord basically trying to give him multiple chances.
Okay. So what
So
you're
I'm confused on
hold on, no. Now I'm confused because it just sounds like you're trying to justify him violating his free will, but you're not disagreeing that he did. You're just showing, well, this is why he did it. Like the Pharaoh kind of wanted to do it anyway, but if that was the case, I guess God isn't all knowing because I don't know why he would do that if the Pharaoh was gonna just do it the fuck anyway.
No, okay, so that's okay. Hold on, you're jumping to like a lot of different things. So for the first thing, the Lord, all the Lord did was just, I guess we'd say, do unto Pharaoh what he already had, did or asked for. And then for the second thing, you said, the Lord did what? He like didn't
It,
have all knowledge of the
yeah,
what? Sorry.
if the Lord just hardened his heart and made him do something he was gonna do anyway, then he must not be all knowing. Because why the
Why?
fuck would he do that? Why? Because the only way I can see is he would do this despite the Pharaoh going to do it anyway if he didn't know he was going to do it anyway. Other than that, it just seems like he's retarded.
All
I
right.
mean, I think that's kind of. Oh,
This
go
is
ahead.
kind of this specific point is kind of going on too long. If you want to move on to like a slightly different point, that'd be
Yeah, sure.
pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, we're bogged down on this. You asked me for the reason we're here is because you asked me for mental, mental limitations. I can also say like the fact that we're not all knowing is a
No,
mental
it's not.
limitation.
It's not about limitations. That's not the issue. Remember, we're talking about free will, so we're talking about having the ability to have choices, right? It's not about limitations. It's about whether you have a choice of doing something or not. And when we're talking about impositions, we're talking about God forcing you to do things, specific things that
Okay, yeah,
you.
yeah, I get what you're saying. If I can ask a question, do
Okay.
you think that if I like roll, do you agree with the charge of manslaughter where you accidentally like do something that kills someone, like indirectly? Like if I roll a boulder down the hill, and then there's like a guy on the bike that just comes zooming in front of it, and I kill him, am I at fault for killing him?
Are you at fault? I mean, in indirect sense, yeah. I mean, I don't think you intended to kill him. I think intent does
Yeah,
matter, but in terms of like you doing some things,
yeah,
that you
no,
probably, if
yeah,
you're
I
negligently pushing a boat down a hill and you kill somebody, you probably should be in prison because of the fact that you were negligent.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not even talking about like blameworthiness. I'm just like am I at fault? Yes, I am. Right. So the it like if God limits our mind in the knowledge that it has, there's things that we do that has an effect that we don't know. So that in of itself is choices we make are having unintended
Wait, say it again.
consequences.
Sorry, can you repeat the first part?
Since we're not all knowing, our
Okay.
free will is violated because the choices we make have unintended consequences that we did not have will over. We did not consent to because we didn't know that it was going to happen.
Um, no. So okay, so that's like some weird like has like some weird like consequence or like some like weird slippery slope you're going here. Okay, so God God allows you to have knowledge or foreknowledge of things that may happen, right? Um, from that, you're allowed to make choices that you think or should cooperate with your will, right? Right or wrong? Are we like in agreement of that so far?
Yeah, he does do that. Yeah.
Okay, so you not having full knowledge on every single action or every single action that will take place, or let's say like every single possibility of what might happen, doesn't stop you from having the initial choice of doing something that corroborates with your will. So I don't see how that's like an imposition.
I'm not saying it does. I'm saying that there's at a certain point there's something that our choices do that we can't perceive, and that is um it's well like we didn't consent to doing that. So for example, with me rolling a boulder down the hill, I didn't know I was about to kill a person, but it's still an action I did. My free will is violated because I didn't want that to happen, but it did anyway, right? So we have
But
limitations on our free
one,
will.
one, wait, hold on. Once again, I'm confused on how that's a violation. So you doing something? Okay, do you know what? Like, okay, so let's just define free will. What do you think free will is, real quick?
Free will is the ability to freely do actions you want to do.
Okay, so the consequent of your actions, right, isn't gonna be factored in when we're talking about free will. So because for example, because I shoot a basketball, I accidentally hit somebody in the face with it, right? And I didn't mean to. That doesn't mean my free will is violated because I didn't know I was going
Yeah,
to
hold
hit
on,
the
wait,
person in
hold
the
on, hold
face.
on. If you don't mind,
The antecedent of
I,
that. Go ahead.
well, I would like the answer to. I mean, we can do that analogy or mine. If if the action I do results in a death, so I killed someone. We agree that I'm at fault for killing someone. I just killed someone. I didn't freely kill someone
But
because I didn't know
it
it was
depends on how
happening.
you do it. Like so there's a certain form of negligence. Like obviously, like if I drop a hammer down, and like somebody happens to like slip on it and like die, like you wouldn't be. I don't think you're at fault. That's why I said like there's a certain bit of
Yeah, no, no, no.
intention that has to be.
I'm not talking about like moral blameworthiness. I'm just talking about doing the action at all, whether it's good or bad or neutral.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
but that's also an
yeah.
issue as well though, because I'm saying like the reason why we do that under a human perspective is because we have to take people accountable, for I guess you would say the people around us, and not only that, because we have to regulate certain things that I guess you would say would be justifiable for society. So, for example, right, what I mean by that is if you're a
Hold on, wait.
person that
I'm sorry,
causes,
I'm sorry. We're going like, I'm not talking about like blameworthiness, like prison, no
I'm not
prison.
talking about blameworthiness. I know I'm not talking about that either.
No, no, but I heard you say like justified. I'm not talking about like things being justified or not. I'm just saying doing it. Like the fact that we did an action that we didn't consent to, which is killing someone. I didn't want that to happen, so my free will is violated.
But that's not okay. But the consequent or the antecedent of what takes place isn't a part of the prior decision. All that matters is the prior decision and you actualizing the prior decision.
Hold on. No, no, no. If that may
Yes.
matter in a moral sense, but when we're talking about free will, which you agree, I'm at. It's my fault that this person is dead. I killed this person. That's an action I did without
It's
my
in a causal
freedom.
sense, yes, it is your fault because of the fact that you caused something to happen that then I guess you say transpired and took place and allowed this person to die, or I guess you would say push somebody to their death. That's what I'm saying. But you
Hmm.
still, but it doesn't matter because, like I said once more, the I guess you say the transpiring event or the event that took place because of the action isn't connected to the initial event in a free will sense. Like we're just repeating ourselves at this point.
No, no, no. Hold on. You already agreed. It's my fault though.
Yeah, I said in a like in a societal sense because the fact that you the one that committed the action. Yes, I don't think it's
Okay.
your fault in any
So
sense.
a hidden qualifier that makes it not necessarily free will, but it's like in a societal sense, if I were to charge you, then I would charge you with killing this person. So that's what you meant the whole time. Well, even when I said not in a prison sense, not moral blameworthy, but it's because of you this person is dead. But the whole time you meant in a societal sense somehow.
Sorry, just put in. There's 1 minute remaining. Wrap it up before halftime.
Sure. So even though I guess
Say it.
if what you're saying is accepted, do you believe that there is any limitations on our free will, or are we able to freely do anything?
Um. Okay. Are we able? I don't think we can do like literally anything. No, I think it's impossible. But obviously, like
Yeah, so
within
there's
the knowledge of,
limitations.
in the sense that we can do literally anything. Yes, but it's not needed
Okay.
for free will. But
Yes.
uh, so real
So
quick,
aren't we able to have free will that's limited since it's already limited? So what's the problem with just not having us do evil actions?
no, okay. The issue is okay. So when Adam and Eve bit from the tree of knowledge, they're I guess you say they're allowing themselves to have
That's
knowledge of good and
halftime.
evil. Okay.
That's halftime. Okay, so we're gonna have a 5 minute break now. People can grab a drink or a snack or whatever. You guys can revise what you want to say in the second half. But yeah,
Okay,
it's
no
it's a,
problem.
it's a 5 minute break now. Cool. Let us know what your thoughts on the debate so far is in the chat. And after the second half, we will have a 20-minute Q&A period. So make sure that you have some questions prepared for that, audience members. Sorry, just to check, are you both still there? The break
Yeah.
ends in
Yeah,
about
I'm here.
30 seconds. All right, cool. Just 30 more seconds.
By the way, Arpa, can you check the chat real quick? I pinged you in some shit. I need clarification on.
In what chat?
It's in the Coliseum side chat.
Okay. Well, once you guys have that sorted out, I guess we'll start. That's the end of the 5-minute break. So, yeah,
Okay, sure. So
second half is
I'll
going to
just
start now.
Yeah.
do you just want me to
Even though
continue the response about the what's the name?
it,
I guess
it,
you say the story of Adam and Eve.
I yeah, that I mean I feel like this is just like a too like we're going too far on the tangent. I think NSYNC is shaking in his whatever the fuck he's in right now. But could we go back to, you said that I asked you why can't we have the same free will that we will in heaven right now, and you said God has a that. Oh, okay, there we are. So you said we wouldn't have the choice if if God took away the flesh or the sin or whatever. And I'm guessing what you were leading up to would be to not choose God would be a sin, right?
To not choose God would be a sin.
Yeah.
Is that what I was leading up to?
It sounded like it. It's a question. I'm asking if that's
Oh
what
no,
you
I
were.
wasn't. I don't. No, I don't think so. That's not what I was going for.
Okay. It would be okay. So when I said, well, we can still make the choice, even if God takes away the flesh of human that like makes us sinful, He can take it away and we can still make that choice. Why was that wrong? Why is it not the case we can just make the choice to choose or not choose God without sin?
Oh, okay. So yeah. So the reason why is because it eliminates the choice. So the body, it's not necessarily sin, but the body contains. My bad. The flesh, it's in of itself, has I guess to say ungodly qualities, right? So it's not perfect in the sense that the spirit comes specifically from God, right? The body is flesh God made to, I guess you say, inhabit the soul or spirit, whatever, right? So once we're in this form, whatever, um, the free will that we ate from I guess you say, the tree of good and evil or knowledge of good and evil, right? It allows us to have choices that are either good or bad, for example, right? Um, if we
If
were
you
to
don't
leave,
mind, yeah, if you
yeah,
don't
go
mind
ahead.
if I lodge right there, I think I know where you're going with this. I guess my question would then be, you say that like when we, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that when we ate of the apple, we get this quote unquote free will that we like experience now, which is different from the one in heaven or whatever, and that's what allows us to make the
Yeah, because
choice.
our soul in heaven perfectly aligns with God's nature.
Then can I
So
ask, hold on, since Adam and Eve didn't have it before the apple, how is choosing to eat the apple going away from God, but simultaneously you're saying they're not able to choose or not choose God before they had the free will we have?
no, okay. So I think there's like a sense of layered free will, obviously. So beforehand, they weren't okay. So for beforehand, they didn't have the knowledge of good and evil, so they weren't um, to atone for their actions, right? So they can still obviously like choose ungodly actions, as we see when they chose to disobey God and eat the fruit, right? But that doesn't mean that my bad, that they couldn't. My bad. That doesn't mean that they are what's the name? They are in control of whether or not it's a sin or not. I don't think they had, I would say, the grounds to be held accountable for the sin at that point.
Hold on. This is incorrect though, because God holds them accountable and banishes them and says, and is angry at them for even doing the choice. He banishes them from the Garden of Eden. Says to Eve, I'm
But
gonna now make your births hella more painful, and I'm gonna curse you all with death and sends them out of the Garden of Eden. He definitely holds them accountable.
No, but okay. So that's what I'm saying. After they eat the fruit, so after they eat the fruit, they are accountable for their actions.
No, hold on.
So
But
the accountability.
yeah,
Go ahead.
so when she eats the fruit, like as her mouth is like going over the apple, and then she bites down
It's
into it,
it's
right there, she's not accountable, and that action
it's.
is what
I
God
think it's
punishes
more
her
so.
for.
I think it's more so Adam specifically, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, once she's accountable for the action, then everything. So it's kind of like this, for example, right? Um, if let's say for example, right? Um, you didn't you didn't know about let's say like a dead body, right? Once you actually come in contact with the dead body, and you were to touch it, for example, or whatever, then you immediately after you come in contact and touch it, you would immediately have responsibility for your actions. From that, you can be judged or will be judged. But beforehand, all you're told is, okay, don't go to the dead body or don't go and touch it, whatever. And once you do touch it, you immediately gain, I guess, say, the ability to be held for your accountable for your actions. So it's basically
Uh,
like a condition.
oh, okay. So you're saying that she eats it, and then she's able to be punished. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's an inclusive action. So once they
Okay.
immediately eating it allows them to be held responsible for their actions, or whatever.
Okay. I think this kind of goes away from what I'm like pointing towards. What I'm pointing towards is the fact that Eve, in this goodness, or without the human flesh that you describe, that God's gonna take
No,
away when we go to heaven.
she did have human flesh at that point.
So wait, she had the no. Sin was born into the world after the fall of man, which was when she ate the flesh or ate the apple.
Yeah, but
That's when.
she still had. That's what I'm saying. The flesh had became tainted because she ate the apple.
Yeah. And that's the same tainted flesh that God will take away in the end when we go to heaven. However, before it was tainted, this would be the same two people. They both don't have tainted flesh, which allows for sin.
No, okay, that's the issue. So it's not that they. Okay, so this is the issue, right? No sin would come upon them because of the fact that they didn't have the knowledge of good and evil, right? So I'm saying they only became tainted once they did that thing.
That's wrong because they chose to do the sin when they were untainted, or Eve did, or Adam.
No,
Actually, both.
no. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's immediate consequence. I'm saying they both follow. So as soon as she bit into the apple, she became tainted, and as soon as she became tainted, she bit into the apple, and also, I guess to say, did the sin.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is the only way she could have eaten the apple and done the sin is to be tainted. But after eating the apple is when she became tainted. But remember, when she became tainted, she was then able to eat the apple. This isn't possible. If she needs to be tainted to eat the apple, but needs to eat the apple to be
I didn't.
tainted,
No, I didn't.
they
I didn't
can't
say she
happen
should need
like
to
that.
be. That's not. No, you're not listening. I didn't say she needs to be tainted to eat the apple. I'm saying she
So,
became tainted by eating it.
so can you be untainted and do sin?
Um, can you be untainted and do sin?
Yes.
No, I don't think. I think you can in a technical sense, but I don't think that like would transpire.
Uh, it
So
did
what I
with
mean by do
Eve.
is
What?
what I mean. Wait, what I mean by do is I don't think you can intentionally do something sinful at that point.
Uh, Uh, okay. I'm not sure it matters. If you're able to sin, even if you don't mean to, oopsie daisy, right? And as you say, sin bores suffering, then in heaven there must be suffering.
No, but that's the issue though, because God would but they wouldn't be responsible for their sin at that time, so they wouldn't be tainted because they don't have knowledge of good and evil.
No, I'm not talking about judgment. That's a different kind of suffering. I'm talking about the fact. It says in the Bible that suffering comes through sin, right? And this is
Yeah.
true even in the world you're talking about with untainted. I'll call it untainted sin, where she does a sin, but she doesn't really know about it because she's untainted,
No,
right?
because
She's
no,
she still
no,
gets
because
judged for that action.
no, but that's after. That's what I'm saying. Like you be like you lack context for a lot of things. So that's the that's not the precedent. So that's not a rule that takes place in all cases. I'm saying that's the rule after these specific conditions have been met.
But that's not true. Because hold on,
Where are you getting it from?
the untainted sin that she did when she did the sin without knowing, her eating into the apple, she didn't know it was bad until after she did it, and her doing it when she didn't know is what got her ass thrown out of the Garden of
Wait,
Eden.
can you repeat
And
that one more time, sorry?
yeah, before or sorry, after she ate the apple, she knew it was a sin. Before she didn't. While eating the apple, she didn't know it was a sin. It was that act,
No,
not knowing it was a sin while
while
eating the
no,
apple, that got her punished.
while she was eating the apple, she didn't know it's sin. And even then,
True.
that's why I said they weren't even punished right after Eve. It was Adam, because she didn't even know that they weren't supposed to eat it. So immediately after Adam eats the apple, that's when God comes, right? And then
Does it
he says,
matter?
"Oh, yes." The reason why it matters is because God specifically gave the order to Adam, right? And even then, specifically after she deceived Adam, she said, "Yo, Adam, this apple is so good, whatever. I think you should try it." And then he eats
Oh.
it.
So wait, Adam was okay. All the pieces are like I'm like blue locking right now. So Adam was given a command by God.
Yeah, yeah.
Slave, don't do this. And with his untainted sin, or sorry, untainted flesh, he did a sin that he knew was a sin.
Wait,
So
what?
even with his untainted flesh, Adam did a sin that he knew was a sin. So with untainted flesh, you can know of sin and do sin.
No, I don't. Okay, so that's okay. I'll read this one more time. I don't think you understand. Um, you can conceptualize of not doing good actions. I agree. For the second thing, you said that you can do sin. I agree. You can do sin in the sense that it can take place, but I don't think you're held accountable, or I don't think you're going to do that.
No, 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 no. You said the reason that you're not held accountable is for specifically for Eve because she
The lack
didn't
of knowledge.
know. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
saying a
she
lack.
didn't know.
That's what I'm saying. No,
But then you
I'm saying
said Adam did know.
because of the
Yeah,
wait.
so
No,
fuck
okay, you're not
Eve.
listening. No, okay,
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
listening. I'm saying
Okay, go ahead.
because of the tree of knowledge, though.
Wait, no, no, no. Fuck the tree of knowledge. Adam was given a command. He went against God. He rebelled against God with untainted flesh. So this is my entire point. Even with untainted flesh, you can choose not God. That's what the fall of the man was. So I don't understand why we just can't have untainted flesh, all of us, not have a proclivity towards sin as the Bible describes, and still choose God when that's exactly what Adam did. So this
But
whole
that's
free will defense falls apart at that moment.
that's not the issue, though. That's the thing you're confused. So
That
it's
that is
not
the
just
issue.
that we have um untainted flesh, or a flesh without sin, or like, so we don't have this proclivity to sin, right? It's not just that. I said we're also cleansed, and not to mention in heaven is all good. So there's no I guess you'd say action or a way to go about doing some ungodly thing, because it's all good. But even beforehand, when I'm talking about Eve, like I said my bad, not Eve. I'm talking about Adam and Eve. I said once they ate the tree, or ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge, right? That's when they gained the ability to recognize their action and their rights and
Incorrect.
wrong. So
That's not true. That's not true.
what?
Before this is true for Eve, but you admitted that Adam did know that God did not want him to eat of that fruit,
But
and yet he did it anyway. He rebelled against God.
there's
He chose not God.
wait, but there's two different things there. So like I said beforehand, so there's eating. I mean, my bad. There's doing a sin, and then there's being responsible for the sin. I'm saying he wasn't responsible until he ate the fruit. So
No, no, no.
disobeying in the sense that
Huh?
go ahead.
Hold on. Wait. If I'm correct, when we were talking about Eve, you said the reason that Eve is not responsible when she eats the fruit, which she gets fucked in the ass anyway. By the way, thank you God. But the reason she's not responsible is because she doesn't know. She learns it's bad afterwards. However,
No, no, I'm
Adam
saying she
should be.
didn't know because of the tree of life and death.
Yes, 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 yes,
Tree
yes,
of
yes,
knowledge.
yes. But yeah, and because of that, she's not responsible or she's not accountable until after she does a sin. However, and that's because she gains knowledge. However, God gave Adam knowledge before the eating of the apple. So when he ate the apple, he did that with one, untainted flesh, and two, responsibility for his sin. So he, in knowledge, defied God's command while being pure of this tainted flesh.
Okay, so I don't know if you like understand, but okay, so do you know like how God basically treats children in the Bible, or people who are you should say unfit to be held responsible for their sins?
No.
Okay, so basically God allows well, basically takes the responsibility away from people who don't have, I should say, the means to responsibly be held accountable for their actions, right? He's able to, my bad, sorry, he's able to answer for those sins, right? That's what I'm saying. What happened in this example? So, if, for example, let's say Adam disobeyed God in a different way. Let's say like Adam like slapped something without God, or when God told him not to slap something, right? Because he didn't have the knowledge of good and evil at that point, you wouldn't be held accountable for their actions. What I'm trying to tell you. So I'm saying
Yeah,
specifically
hold
because
on, hold on, wait. I think we're losing where the point was. The reason we're even talking about this is because I asked you, why is it that we can't choose God or not God with untainted flesh? And well, I think I'm not sure where the actual question was, but you said that's not possible. But now I'm showing you it is possible. So
no,
what I want to
I said specifically as the spirit, when you're the spirit, because I'm saying the spirit is from God, and because it's from God, it's truly good. So
purely
specifically,
good.
yeah,
Yeah. So, okay. Oh, so why didn't he just give that to Adam in the beginning and avoid all the sin that
because
happened?
that's what I'm telling. Okay, because God gave them free will, He also gave them a body to utilize this free will. That's where the flesh comes in.
Yes, 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 yes. But he didn't need to give him free
Okay.
will. That was a choice. And
Why
this is
didn't He
my
need
entire
to?
argument. He
But
didn't
why didn't
need
He need
to.
to?
I said he didn't need to.
Yeah, why? Based off
What
what
do you
I've
mean?
presented beforehand, why wouldn't? Why wouldn't He want to?
Okay. No, 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 no. Oh, see, you see how it changed? Not why would he want to? It's why would he
But
need
you're
to?
like you're being pedantic, but that is literally I could literally just reformat the question the same way. It's literally
Okay,
doesn't
yeah,
make
sure.
sense.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm saying
yeah. In
based off of
either
what I
one.
said beforehand,
Sure,
why does God?
I'll answer both. I'll answer both. One, in the beginning, Adam was with untainted flesh, and then at the end in heaven, we are with pure flesh. I don't under.
No, we
I
don't
like.
have flesh at that point. We don't have flesh. We are only spirit.
Yeah.
We're in
Sorry,
that.
sorry, sorry, sorry. It's just raw dog spirit. Why couldn't it just be raw dog spirit in the beginning? Because it seems like.
Oh my God,
Oh,
we're just
oh,
repeating
okay.
ourselves.
Yeah,
Like I said before,
yeah. Okay, okay. Sorry.
like
Yeah,
that.
it's because of the choice. It's the choice, right? To be able to choose God or not choose God. Okay. The
Yes.
problem with this is the fact that God is all loving. I said this in the beginning. God is all
Okay.
loving. If He has maximal love, there's nothing He desires more than our well-being. So why would He choose our choice of Him over our well-being? That doesn't make sense.
Okay, because God also wants us to have the ability to choose for ourselves. So, for example, right? I don't think a parent should have I guess to say, should have the ability to police around their kid, right? And make him do every single choice just because they think it's best for their well-being. At the end of the day, the parents still have to give this being choice of responsibility and have actions of their self, right? And from that, they can do even greater goods than the parents once once planned for example. That's something similar with God. So God loved us so much that He gave us the ability to do good and evil
Suffer.
actions and choose
Oh,
Him
okay.
and choose Him
Wait, hold on. Okay,
to
okay.
be with
Hey,
Him
hold
eternally
on.
rather than
Yeah, yeah.
forcing it upon us.
Okay. First of all, I think I've established pretty clearly that there are things He forces upon us, like if we have untainted flesh or we're pure spirit. That's first of all. Second of all,
Bro,
I
that's not
think
like it's not
uh,
like a
uh,
response at all. You're just stating it.
no,
You're
no.
saying the same thing. Obviously, there's
Mom,
gonna be obviously
sure.
if God
Hold
is a
on.
nature.
Okay.
Obviously, if we're not an omniscient being,
It's
we're
all.
gonna
It's
have
off.
some sort
It's
of
off the
restriction.
subject. I'm just saying that it was already stated. Okay.
No, but I'm saying
If you
like
think.
that's like I don't know why like people like always harp on like these little things. Like obviously God can't make us fucking purely uh purely actual with all these disgusting
Yeah, well
abilities.
then,
Like we're gonna run
like
around
the reason it
being multiple
matters is because
ontological
you're
substances.
saying that, like, hold on. This entire thing is you're saying so, somehow, and by the way, here's the contradiction. If God maximally loves us, he either equally wants us to have a choice or doesn't, right? If or it's not maximal, right? If it's not maximal, he should have chose well-being over it. If it is maximal, then they should just cancel each other out, and he's not going to choose one or the other because they're both maximal, right?
No,
So
okay, so he equally cares about us, our well-being, so he chooses free will. I don't see a contradiction in it.
hold on. No. The contradiction is the fact that earlier you said free will begets suffering. That's the contradiction. What?
I said it has the ability to beget suffering.
And it did.
Okay, but that's not an argument. So, okay, a
Yes.
contradiction is something.
What?
Wait. A contradiction is something. My bad. A contradiction is basically when two logical statements cannot coexist, right? There's no contradiction in that. Like, so me giving multiple reasons as to why God would allow these things to happen or these events to transpire or occur. So, just basically shows there's no contradiction at all.
5 minutes left, by the way.
Okay. So I don't know if you're just like not hearing me or something, but I'll spell it out. The contradiction is if God wants our well-being to be good and then he does something that hurts our well-being, then that's a
No, I
direct
don't think he did
contradiction of
anything
his
that.
intention.
I don't think God did anything that hurt our well-being.
He
I think
gave
we
us
did
free
something that.
will.
Yeah,
He gave
but
us
that's not him. So we being us being independent actors, right? Us being independent actors, we chose this thing. From that thing we chose, these consequences transpired. From that, God also said, being so loving, right? He gave His only begotten Son to give us
okay.
I guess to say, a chance of redemption
That's not relevant
to
right
die
now.
for our sins.
It's not
That is
not relevant.
redemption.
Yeah, he for some reason made his son suffer too. An amazing God, by the way. But
That's
the
what that's
like
retarded.
it doesn't make okay.
Your
If you
son
want,
chose to suffer. What the fuck?
we can
You're
go to
making.
that later on. No. You just said he
There's only
made
five.
his son come down to heaven. Yeah, it's only 5 minutes
I
left,
I
so it doesn't matter. It doesn't
his
matter. It
son.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. So if he chooses to do something that does make us suffer, and he knows it will, then he's
He doesn't know.
doing something. Hold on. If I want to not step in dog shit, and then I just like jump off the porch into a pool of dog shit, I'm doing an action that's contradictory to my intentions. I don't want to be in dog
I
shit,
just said.
but I'm doing something that results in dog shit. He doesn't want
I
us
just.
to suffer, but then does something that results in us suffering.
Yeah. So, like I said beforehand, so God doesn't want us to suffer unjustly.
Unjustly, yeah, because of
Yes.
free will. But hold on. I don't think like we keep going in circles because you're not answering this one question without going in a circle, which is why would the choice of our why would the choice of God or no God be above our well-being? If that's the case,
It is.
then
It is our
then
well-being.
his
That
love for
literally
us
is.
is not
I already told
maximal.
you this. They coincide. It is a part of our well-being. So
Oh,
you being forced.
wait, hold on, wait. Okay,
Like,
okay, okay. I get what you're saying. In heaven, so then we have less well-being in heaven. Heaven is worse than here because our well-being is hurt because we don't have as much free will as we do here.
no, oh my gosh. No, that's not what I'm talking about. So I'm saying specifically, you being forced to be with somebody that you do not want to be with is a part of your well-being. Right. So having the conscious choice to choose whether or not you want God. Um, is a part of whether or not you will be good or not, like whether or not your being will be affected or not. So there are choices
Yeah,
that are ultimately going to
yeah,
happen,
yeah. Hold on.
and
And that choice is in heaven. That choice is like we're not able to make that choice, right? Because we're purely good.
but that's after. That's a consequence after. It's not beforehand.
I so what?
Our well-being will
Oh, oh,
still be compromised beforehand.
after the choice is made. But no, I'm saying, what, like we can go back on choices, ain't it? Like while we're in
No, I don't
heaven.
think. No, we cannot.
We
How
can't
can
go
we
back
go
on
back?
choices at all.
How will we be able to? How will we be able to go back on a choice? What?
Yeah, so like if I drive a car like forward, I can reverse it. I don't know. If I choose
Yeah, that's
God,
yeah.
I
So
can
so
say,
you're
you
not,
know
but you're
what,
not.
you know what, never mind
Wait,
God, fuck you.
are
I
you
well like
are
why is
you
that impossible?
are you wait? Are you actually reversing time, or are you actually going back to that prior moment, or are you
Oh
just
no,
undoing
I'm
the
sorry, I'm
choice
sorry.
by
I forgot I'm talking to the
continuing?
semantical God. Yeah, when I
That's not
say
that's not
undo, no,
semantics. I'm just,
it is.
what?
When I say undo a choice, I mean do a new choice that undoes the effect of the last one, right? So if I
Okay.
choose God and then afterwards I'm in my spirit, apparently I can't say fuck you God and unchoose him. That's the reversal. So that's a
Yeah,
violation of our free will, which according to you is a violation of our well-being. So then God
I already
doesn't
told you
actually love us.
beforehand. Uh, oh my gosh, this nigga's, you're not understanding.
Okay,
So I
go,
already told
go.
you beforehand. Yeah, I already told you beforehand. Heaven is pure good, and we're purely good as well. So it's gonna coincide with our nature. So after we choose God, the consequence of would be that we recognize the choice that we are going to make, and because of this, we're gonna have eternal salvation and everlasting life. A byproduct
Yeah,
of that is being in heaven. So no, you cannot unchoose to have everlasting life. You either choose to
yeah,
have everlasting life, or you don't.
yeah. Okay, you said two very key phrases right there, which is we are
That
going
is
to. Okay,
sorry. That is the end of the open discussion. So it is now
Oh,
the questions and answers section now, which will go on for 20 minutes. Please post your questions in the Coliseum chat. You can use the like request to speak feature, and I can bring you in to ask the question, or you can just put it in the chat, and then I can bring it up to either speaker.
are we waiting for questions?
Yeah, sorry. Usually I'm supposed to like the facilitator supposed to have some prepared. My internet's been cut out for like half the conversation, so I'm not tuned in. So this question's from Network Gremlin, and it's for Arpa. Does Arpa think that free will can exist without evil being present? And does Center think that is possible? Well, okay, you just suggest the part that's meant for you, Arpa.
Okay. I think that it just depends on definitions. Like when you really get into like free will versus determinism, there's a lot of different definitions of it. I feel like when we talk about if it's accepted that right now we have free will, it must also be accepted that we have limitations. So removing evil action would would just be another limit. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ, you fucking dickhead. It's not that cool. Um, just because there's another limitation doesn't mean that free will is gone. And if it does, I'd like to know why this limitation out of all of them, like, is the one that destroys free will. I feel like I feel like if you were to say we have free will in heaven, but there's like we can't do evil, then it seems like the question is answered right there, honestly. So yeah.
So yeah, let me go ahead and ask a question. So, yeah, I came up. Well, I've seen an argument. So somebody proposed an argument like this not too long ago, probably like 2 weeks ago or something like that. But I don't think it's possible. So, if from this world, right? It's true that God, that free will is existent, and from that we have multiple choices, right? Let's say that there was a world where God said, okay, well, I'm gonna take away evil action, and there can only be good action, or for example, there can only be good and there can only be good action, for example, right? I don't think it'd be compatible with the sense that we currently have, um, like in a Christian perspective, because it's either that God is actualizing it so that the universe allows this consequence to only be good, which is like taking away the choice in of itself in aspects, or is the case that God Himself is the one that's directly causing this action, or my bad, directly causing us to only have the ability to choose, like let's say good actions or whatever. So that's all for like I said, just you would say like mostly a violation of, I guess to say, what we consider good from a Christian perspective.
All right, we'll move on to.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay. So, were you finished there?
Oh yeah, I was just asking. I don't know if that like answers the question.
Okay. Yeah.
Really.
Cool. Yeah. We'll just move on to the next one. PP's got quite a wall of text here. This is meant for the best center, I presume. Assuming you believe miracles exist, why do you think God interferes when a theist suffers from eczema and it miraculously goes away, but doesn't choose to interfere when children are dying of genetic condition? The theist thanks God for curing her eczema, but when children die as a result of things unrelated to human free will, it's part of God's plan. Seems pretty convenient and very much tone deaf. Why would a good God do this?
Yeah, I would agree with this, but I don't think that's like how any actual theist who studies their theology would behave. So it's either that you're like, let's say, like a Calvinist in the idea that you think everything is ordained, um, and from that God has chosen people and chosen actions, like every action is chosen and everything that's happened is chosen. And yes, God would be responsible for all the good and bad actions, and they would only, let's say, for example, let's say a certain Calvinist, they would only acknowledge these, I guess you say, good action God does, but would disregard all the incognito actions He does, right? But I don't agree with these things. I think most, I guess to say, well-read theologians would just say that every action that is transpiring, for the most part, would just be free. So God isn't actually playing a role in, I guess to say, like certain people living and certain people dying in a direct level at this point. Rather, it's just completely chance. So yeah, I mean, I don't really think that's like, what's the name? As counterintuitive as I think most people think it is, I don't think that's like what is occurring. I think most people would agree. Or most Christians would agree. Sorry.
Okay. This next question is from Arpa from Network Gremlin again. What is evil?
So, is my thing on?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So it depends, I guess, where your moral framework is from. For me, I'm more of a moral anti-realist. I don't think that morality statements hold any like truth value. Like when you say like this is good, this is bad, the only truth there is your own like subjective perception of it and how it affects things that you value. So usually we say that like rape or torture or these or pain or murder is bad because things have happened. The effects that happen with those things, we don't like those. They go against our values. They go against the things that we want. We call those bad usually. You can get really semantical with that. I know it's evil, but it's the same thing. I guess for me as well, I would say there's evil intentions as well that want to do those actions. But it just depends. So I don't think evil is like an objective statement or anything. It just depends who you talk to. What are the things counted as evil? But I think more broadly, evil is just a subjective label that we put on things we don't really like. So like an emotivist kind of position.
All right, cool. This next question is from Pumpkin, probably to the best center. If God wants us to be able to choose Him, then why does He allow the death of infants before they have had the chance to develop the ability to make such a choice?
Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I touched on this beforehand. So, God, obviously like allows us the ability to choose things, but that's the thing that I said earlier. That there are, I guess, to say like cases um, where God, um, can't, like, I guess to say, interfere with certain actions. Otherwise, like, I guess to say, certain specific choices of free will are negated. So from us being independent actors, there are things that are going to happen. Um, let's say like child death or whatever. At that point, though, the issue is that because they are not held responsible for their actions, they're, I would say, God takes them to be untainted, in the sense that He wouldn't allow them to, let's say, go through whatever torment or separation it is that follows from being away from God. So from that, He would allow us to, allow the baby or whatever to come with Him or whatever.
All right then. Hold on. There's somewhere supposed to read the next one. I've lost it, so I'll just skip over to Network Gremlin's question. This one's for you, Center again. Is this the maximally good world if you accept all possible worlds?
I do believe this would be the maximally greatest world, but I don't think we're at like the best. Okay, so I do think this is the best possible world in the sense that this is the best possible universe, but I don't think it's the best possible state of affairs currently. I do think there are the state of affairs in the future that we will reach that will be greater than this one. I'm not talking about like having obviously do this obviously going to be like the greatest possible affairs. I'm talking about like earthly affairs. I think there will be a point where people will, or there either has been or there will be a point where I guess the path of humans would be like at all time low, whatever. All right, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, cool. This next question is for Arpa from Pumpkin, probably again. What would you say the problem of vagueness? If we say free will or true bravery are goods that requires the potential of suffering, then would it not be vague as to how much suffering God must allow?
I think this only really applies to certain people that want to say that, like if you think about Alex O'Connor's argument, if anyone knows him or his argument, he'll kind of say, is it not possible for a little less suffering? Like, it couldn't be just one more gun jammed in a war or something like this. I don't really go for that. I think that it doesn't work because you can say, well, maybe he did jam one more gun. Have you ever heard of a gun being jammed? Boom, God, that's the one gun. And then you can obviously say things like the best center is saying that are really unprovable, which I think is a theme in this kind of area, is just like loading a bunch of unfossibility claims. I think this would also go to the free will and true bravery thing, where I don't think these goods, I don't think God would want these goods over his want for our well-being. So I don't. So there is a problem of vagueness. First of all, to answer the question directly, but I don't think it's a problem. The only problem is for a specific type of problem of evil. But I think you can just directly attack the free will and true bravery directly as like justifications for billions of years of suffering, and pointing to certain actions that don't really require either of those, or like certain like atrocities that don't really require either of those, like a building smashing directly onto a person isn't going to promote their free will to choose God or not, or it won't make them any braver because now they're dead. So yeah, that's the answer.
Okay, yeah, so to go to the next question, it's for you again, Arpa. From Network Gremlin, does God allowing suffering necessitate causing suffering?
Does God? Let me look at the chat. That one fucked my ass a little bit. Does God allowing suffering necessitate causing suffering? If you mean like, are these two things the same thing? I would say for humans, no. For God, yes. He knows what's going to happen, right? If I like if I took a dice and I throw it and it's loaded, right? Like a loaded dice, and it's gonna land on a 7, or sorry, not one dice, like die. And I know this, and I do it, and it lands on 7. I caused that, but there's a multitude of factors that caused it for it to be able to be caused. But I knew it was going to cause that by the fact that how it was loaded. If you if you're just throwing like normal dice or something, then and you don't and you're not all knowledgeable, you don't know where it's gonna land. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm retarded. Yeah, you are really fucking my ass right now, Network Gremlin. Not loaded dice, just normal dice. If you know the exact amount of force that you need to put into a dice to make it land, and because you're all knowing, then you are the actuator of whatever number is landed on. But if you don't have all knowledge, then you're not. So for God, he does know what's going to happen when he does certain things that lead to suffering. And then, especially while those things are happening and continuing on, and he's just sitting there watching his lovelies. Oh, I love you so much. Oh, watch out for that building. Watch out for the plane. He is causing that suffering. Because he could oh shit, I just realized what the question was actually. Okay, he's causing it because he started the whole chain, and he's allowing it to cause because he's allowing it to continue. I'm sorry. Yeah, that question really fucked me up. I didn't understand it. But yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, okay, cool. I don't really know if this question is directly relevant to the debate. It's directed towards you, Center, so you don't really have to answer it if you don't want to. It was asked by Keepy earlier. What is your justification for believing in an all-good God despite there being evil, rather than an all-evil God despite there being good?
Oh yeah, sorry. Hold on one second. I was responding to them already, but I'll just read it. Um. Okay, so if God's all evil, then there's no need for free will. I think the issue of free will just become mute. Because the only reason why God allowed for free will is the idea that I guess you say good could come about that probably wouldn't be able to be actualized without this allowance. Also, I think God allows us to have free will because He loves us so much so we can have a choice. Uh, for example, somebody that doesn't love you probably wouldn't want you to have choice in anything. They probably just want to control you. But let's say that this evil God, for whatever reason, is only able to actualize the state of affairs that are evil once once let's say some sort of free will is taking place. I say that's like a extremely rare but possible I say occurrence. Then we could just look at current religious understandings and evidence for different types of gods, evil God or like you say, not evil God, and I think they all point towards more loving gods. And then or you could just answer the evil God problem with an inspiring philosophy s answer to the problem of evil. Not the problem of evil, the evil God challenge or whatever.
Okay, and I think they asked a follow-up one there. If hypothetically you have a child that didn't believe in God, but is a decent person similar to you, would you feel justified for your place in heaven while your child suffers?
So yeah, that's the issue. So I don't think anybody can be a good person without God. In the sense of spiritually, I think they're depraved. But um, God talks about God talks about um the ability to remember. Once you're in heaven or afterlife, you won't be able to remember people who haven't made it into heaven. So you just literally just lack the knowledge. But even if I said we did have the knowledge, um, would I be justified in letting them get tormented? Um, do I think it'd be justified to understand that it's tormented or whatever? Ultimately, I think, like I said beforehand, it's a choice of the person who's trying to have a relationship with God. If they don't want to have a relationship with God, then it's what am I to say? Even though I would want them to do that thing. I can't control them, or I can't study myself over the fact that they didn't choose God when I think they should.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the Q&A period, regardless. So I think we can just move on to closing statements now. Thank you all for your questions. Arpa, you have 5 minutes. Can you please start your closing statement?
Yep. So I think I pretty fairly showed why. The only one I know he has other theodicies that he wanted to go down. Obviously with the smaller time and the amount of tangents that we have to go on to agree on certain things to then even talk about the theodicy. We can only get to the free will defense, but in talking about the free will defense, it seems that there is no like free will to speak of, not in a deterministic sense, but in the sense that without um allowing, sorry, it seems that despite the changes in our free will, whether that be the pure goodness and spirit, untainted flesh, tainted flesh, whatever, even the changes or the limitations, there is still some free will that the best center wants to talk about, which seems to get into contradictions with the fact that he's saying suffering is justified because we want to have our choice of God or no God. Um, and this seems to be, at least during this debate, was the only justification he brought up for God. I think I showed pretty clearly why that doesn't make sense for God in character with his maximal lovingness, but also just doesn't make sense on its face, since one, we can have a lot more free will, and we don't, which he agreed to that statement. Whether of instance is like what the instances of limitations we disagreed on, kind of wasted time getting into those, but so it just depends. And we got bogged down into, what like different consistency tests, internal critiques for the untainted flesh versus like the spirit, somehow trying to delineate between these two. His responsibility point on those didn't make a lot of sense. Even after showing, okay, with Eve, like I get what you're saying, she was still fucked in the ass, even though you're saying she's not responsible for the action that she did. But then when we switch over to Adam, who knew and he ate the flesh, or he ate it, and he rebelled against God. He didn't. He still chose against God, even with untainted flesh. So it seems like the tainted flesh either isn't the problem, or um, if you want to like delineate between that and a spirit, we could have just gotten this spirit in the first place, which was backed up in the last little bit of the debate with the exchange on why would God like not want or want to do that. It seems like there's no reason he wouldn't want to do that. If God wants to be with us, as is described multiple times in the Bible, having a purely good spirit maybe isn't the best way. I feel like to have a relationship, you're not choosing. It's not a choice, it's choosing, which I pointed to very clearly when I said, why can't you just undo the choice? Um, I think that conversation was cut off a little bit, but the point there is essentially you talk about free will with an all good, but it seems very deterministic that we by our nature we're not going to make this choice. Seems pretty deterministic, and the fact that God made it that way seems to mean that He's choosing our battles for us. So I don't think that this free will thing does even work. And even if it does, I don't know I would overdo the desire of maximal love. I think that was very clearly not demonstrated. So that's why I think I won.
Okay. Can we get a best center's closing
Okay.
statement now, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll give like a brief rundown. So I think a lot of my opponents' arguments, I don't think, although not purposely, I think were like incredulous slash a bit semantic. A lot of the issues we went under, I think I've like basically handled very well. He asked about different what's his name? Different reasons for responsibility for Adam and Eve. I gave him responsibility. I told him that at this point, Adam and Eve would be treated as like children, but they wouldn't be responsible for their actions until they were, I guess you'd say, until they partook in the knowledge of bad and evil. Specifically for the body was treated as a vessel for them, and the vessel allowed them to have good and bad actions. So, but their spirit itself could not choose these bad actions. From that, they could do these ungodly actions or do godly actions, right? Which is also how they would have the ultimate choice of aligning themselves with or against God. As far as like the Pharaoh thing, I don't think that specific conversation was like too too covered, because we had to move on from that before that. I think there's any like real progress going. As far as like all the contradiction shit my opponent like accused me of, I think a lot of it was just him misunderstanding. I don't think there was any contradiction. Like, there were multiple reasons. I think they're like not only just possible but very probable as to why these specific things would happen. So that's pretty much it. I think I might have missed one thing, but that's pretty much it.
All right. I think that's the end of the debate. So I'm going to close the stage now. There'll be a talk after in conceptual couch if you want to discuss this topic after the debate has ended. And yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your questions.
I'm sorry. If I can, do you have to save the bot before you close down the thing, or will it not save?
Yes. I think Dilo will end the recording for the bot, and then I'll close stage.
Okay.
All right. See you guys in conceptual couch. Okay.